That's all. I missed that?
You did, just back on our page 5, near the bottom, Stacy Guthrie stated that this is a sustaining budget, not a forwarding budget, or forward-moving budget. It does not mention that that Stacy likely also said that this is quite possibly a budget that would move us back, and I do think that's a material statement that should be present in the minutes.
Right.
You know, certainly discussed in the meeting, I'm not sure if it was that exact point, but somewhere in the meeting that was mentioned, so.
No, she said it at that exact point.
Okay.
I remember it clearly. That she.
That's
she
because you're
said-
younger than us.
Yeah, no, she said, Stacy stated that this is
Not
a
that
standard,
much.
not a forward-moving budget, quite possibly.
Then you.
Yeah,
Me,
I
yeah.
remember it clearly.
You hit 40 if you get class. Against you. Okay, anything else, Diane?
That is it for me.
Anybody else? All right, the motion is to amend, the motion is to approve the minutes as amended. All in favor? And that passes unanimously, thank you. I have to apologize, I didn't know. I just want to put the agenda, I didn't print it out, so I have to go back to mine. All righty, any combinations, good news?
Another
We
set
have
of
another
minutes.
settlement.
Oh, wait a minute here, let me look back on that, I didn't see that one. Oh, we do, I do need a motion to approve the minutes of 10:20.
So moved as amended.
I'll second.
Seconded by Diane, made by Sue.
Yeah. Very, very simple amendment. For me, it's on the bottom of page 1. Superintendent's proposed 2011 budget, it says here. It should be 2011 to 2012.
Good catch.
That's it.
Any other corrections? All in favor of approving the minutes of 10:20:10? And that passes unanimously, thank you. All right, now we'll go right to the combination good news. Thank you, Sue. Any combinations good news? We're gonna let the teachers go first tonight, so we don't steal any of their thunder. And we're gonna start with the high school.
Thank you. This is from Lee Mannion in the drama department. She wanted to let everyone know that the Jungle Book is coming up November 12th, 13th, and 19th and 20th. And they're all very excited because this includes students from all of the schools and community students as well. It's a great opportunity for everyone to see the community together. So that's coming.
Mountain View 8th grade teachers, students, and the administration would like to thank the fire department and the Lions Club for their participation, and the volunteers, outside volunteers, for their participation in the Firefighters Challenge, which was held last Thursday. And we would like to congratulate Sam Sharon and Renee Rogenbach for both winning in the male and female competition.
Peggy?
At Maple Avenue, our enrichment block is underway as of today. All students are now receiving literacy enrichment 5 days a week. They had fun. I think it'll be really good, so they seem to enjoy themselves today. That's it.
By the way, Peggy, when they say they have those notes on the MacBook, it didn't mean the stickers on the outside of it.
I know, but you know how useful this is. I have an extra one if you want.
I'm not gonna do that because you probably bought that with your own money, 'cause I don't think we paid for it, so.
On the 20th was the NHS blood drive for the fall, and we collected 118 pints here at the school. So that was really good for a fall drive, but it wasn't quite as good as we were at the end of last year. Also, the 21st was our first concert here at the high school. So we had the music, orchestra, and chorus all played there, and it was actually a really great performance, really hard music for the fall concert. And it went really well. Also, in sports, boys and girls soccer both made it to quarterfinals, and unfortunately that's where we stopped this past weekend. And the last boys football game won their last home game of the season.
Excellent. Okay. Any other combinations? Ginny, I know you had some.
They took them all.
You see, normally don't
My
let them get-
superintendent's ones get checked off as we go down.
You know, normally they don't get to start off, so we steal all their
I
thunder,
know.
so I thought we'd make a change tonight.
I think that's great. I think that's just the way we should do it.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna open it up to public comment. There is one person in the public, so Any comments? Questions? Okay. I'm going to close public comments since that person agrees that they didn't have any questions. So we're going to jump right on to standing committee reports. We'll start with admin and finance. And Sue, if you substituted for Hank tonight,
Yes,
if you're
I
so
did.
kind.
I'd like to move a manifest of $1,867,308.55.
Seconded by Philip.
Salaries, $473,000. Taxes, $154,000. Benefits, $455,000. Flooring at Maple Ave, $15,600. Trainer for fall sports, $7,600. And a whole bunch of special ed stuff that adds up to $190,628.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add to that?
After
Anything
we
you-
vote.
Any questions? All in favor of approving the manifest? And that passes unanimously as well. Thank you, 700.
And just to let folks know, we have to sign our John Hancock's on the refinance of the bond tonight, which came in very, very well. We're gonna save $580,000 over the next 2 years. Right.
So at the end of the meeting, Ray will probably, you'll just spread them out on the table and we can just run right down and sign them, so
Ray can
don't
give
leave
you the
without
de-
signing.
the details of the sale.
We bring
Unfortunately, he doesn't get a percentage of the savings.
Yeah.
It just gets reflected in his yearly review.
There you go.
Excellent. I think that was it, right?
That's it.
I'm gonna write that one down.
You can capture that one in the minutes,
HR.
We have a whole bunch of policies that are coming up later for second reads, and 2 weeks we got another meeting.
It's at 6 o'clock, the SAE office on 11/22.
Yes.
Would it be possible for your committee to review our public comment policy to avoid what happened at the last meeting?
Yeah, the board wants us to. We could-
If the board doesn't mind, I
Add
know
it
we
to
looked
our-
at it a year ago, but I guess we didn't anticipate some
Right.
issues that may come up.
So,
Okay, so doesn't need an official
We'll
motion,
we'll
but
add it to the list. We have a pretty long list, but it'll get added.
you're a policy magnet.
I know.
and we're simply going to allow you to prioritize them, let the committee prioritize as you feel fit, so, you know, obviously if the next meeting we get another inappropriate public comment like that, we probably have to move it up, but the elections are over, so I'm not sure it'll come up.
We'll put it in the list.
Excellent. PNC.
All right, we met tonight, and we continued to conceptualize our different articles and whatnot. We discussed our next two upcoming, which where we're in budget season, that they will be budget oriented. One thing that we need to discuss with you all is coming up on summer break, we asked for the board's permission that Keith and Stacy approve the articles as they're going out, simply because the board wasn't meeting. And that was approved through October, so we need to revisit. I want to check with you, see what you're feeling about the content of the articles, and I'd like to ask permission to continue on in that way. The reason for that is part of the process. I mean, our due date for any of the columns are going in at noon on Monday. We meet after that deadline, and we meet every 2 weeks. So as far as being able to be proactive and more flexible, we need to be able to react a little more quickly than planning an article 3 weeks out. I just think for efficacy, it's important to be able to have that, and so I'm asking you for your feedback, and then if you see fit, your permission to continue on.
I would make a motion to continue under the same provisions that we have been since we made the decision that we did the summer into October. It seems to have worked pretty well. I guess one of the things that might be useful, well, get a second, and then I'll keep on.
I'll say.
Okay.
Is that to the extent that part of the report out is sort of, this is what we're planning on, this is where we're going. If anybody has anything that they want to add, great. I realize that sometimes real time will not allow that.
Yeah, if anybody has any idea for
But I think they've
articles,
been really
topics,
great
let
so
us know.
Or wants to write one.
Oh, absolutely, we're constantly looking for volunteers for that.
Writers.
Could we get more detail in the future of what you're planning on writing or what plans on coming through? Because a lot of the times I don't even see the articles till they're out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if at the board meetings either just have a sense of what the topics are and why.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
we
you want, I
actually-
mean, I can actually, when I send them off to Sarah, I can email them to everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna
The
say-
article that goes to, I
So you
usually
guys-
send them out on Monday mornings. I can send them out to the board so you have them before they come out.
So you got 4 days to call and ask questions in case you get asked a question.
Would that make sense?
I think so.
Thank you.
Not a problem. And we do have a running list that we updated.
It's gotten
Every
shorter.
meeting. Yeah, it's
Like,
gotten
now that
shorter
we're in
now, but-
budget and we're like, okay, you know, where are we going? And like I said, I can tell you right now, the next 2 articles are gonna be on budget. It's obviously gonna be our budget numbers, and most likely it's gonna be state figures. I still need it to shape in our head. It will be factually based and, you know, as far as what our issues are.
Because our next one is coming out on the 18th, the next article.
Right, because we just have one, so it'll be in Thursday's paper. So then it will be 2 weeks following for us to see something. And we only meet once a month, so we had to set at least the next 2. So,
And our presentation to the budget committee is on the 13th, that Saturday. So they will actually have a chance to have heard from us before the article goes in the paper. And they're going to receive their budget, providing we approve them tonight, this Friday.
Sometimes we-
And we will post our budget on the website the same day that we provide the budget committee with a copy.
Okay, and where can they pick up their budget books?
It'll be at the
We'll deliver them to the
Town
town
hall.
hall.
Town hall, okay.
what time is that?
Are you gonna deliver them Friday or
Saturday,
Thursday night?
9:30 in the morning, at the town hall downstairs, in the village stock room.
This
It's
Friday.
Friday.
Friday?
We
We
can
should
get
be
them
able
by,
to.
yeah, we should be able to deliver them.
Yeah,
Friday we
because they're
approve
meeting
tonight.
Thursday night and that's,
Oh.
This Thursday?
You'll know.
yeah,
Then do you think we can get them by
Yeah,
Thursday
we
afternoon?
probably can.
We'll try to get,
Work
we'll
to
try
it.
to get them by Thursday
Okay.
afternoon over there, so they have the
I'm sorry.
Thursday.
Put it on the
We put them in
box.
their mailbox.
Yeah.
right,
All the
great.
budget committee mailboxes. But if they can go there on Thursday, Dan can hand them out at the meeting. That'd be great.
Okay, we need a vote on the motion
Yep.
on the floor.
Very good, keeping me on track tonight. All in favor of the motion? One, to allow the P and Z committee to continue to put forward their articles, we have
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is unanimous.
Worry.
0-0.
We're also interested, PNC interested in tracking the statistics on the website as far as how many hits our pages are getting, just to see what information that we have on the website that our website viewers are finding most useful. Working on budget, frequently asked questions to get up on the website. And then our next meeting is December 6th.
And we are going out, trying to go out to PFTs.
Oh, yes.
Me and Diane are trying to go out, we're going to Maple Lab this Wednesday, we're trying to go next Wednesday at Bartlett. Didn't hear back, I mean, is there enough parents interested in a PFT, well, the Mountain View Partnership, have us come do a presentation on the budget numbers in November?
It depends on, I think, advertising, you know, we may have the traditional people that show up as well, but even so, those are your cheerleaders in the community. It makes sense to educate those
Yeah, so-
people, because as they go back out, they are going to speak the word, so.
Because what it basically, it's a condensed version of Stacy's presentation with updated numbers in it.
We don't have a meeting set up yet.
Okay.
We were planning on meeting before Christmas, so if you've got a date, we can work with you.
Okay, I'll pop you an email, you can just email back and come up with one so that we can try to do it.
Glen Lake belongs on that list as well.
Yeah, Glen Lake, yeah, we're gonna be going to Glen Lake as well. And at the high school, I know last year I did one, and then the year before Phil did one, where there's either an orientation or some type of parents' night for colleges or something like that. We can't remember what it is, but we're gonna do that again at the high school. That's how we hit the parents at the high school.
It's a
Was it
financial
before
aid
Christmas?
unit.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I went to a couple of those.
Sure. Anybody who has either or both of the packages that we got in non-public,
Can I have them back, please? Oh, yeah, we do need to get rid of those.
We're not gonna give it.
Actually, we can give them to Stacy to go
Yeah.
shred
Yeah, I
them.
can shred 'em right away.
that's fine, as long as we collect them.
Alrighty, that's it for P&C. Superintendent's report.
Before we do that, I have,
CNE.
since
Oh.
we were kind of talking about budget, In observing the Budget Committee's deliberations, 'cause I wasn't able to get to the Thursday meeting. But one thing when I watched it on Peg something,
Oh, Peg on Demand.
yeah. The DPW stated that they had to take a 10% cut in their budget, they would no longer plow schools.
I heard something like that.
I don't know if that means we should be putting something in our budget.
If the DPW decides to make that particular case, I'm gonna open up the issue on the fact that they've been plowing churches, selected
Yeah,
churches,
but that,
and they
I
plow the villa.
understand,
and
I
they plow
agree with
ball
your
fields.
situation on that.
So
but
I
I-
think before we get cut, I think there are
No,
other
but I
cuts that
think,
need to be made
I
first.
think we need to
Just keep it open.
keep that open
A number of those
because
things.
it looks to me as if those 10% cuts are going to happen, so.
Well, I think we need to have a discussion with the director of DPW regarding that comment. If he'd be so kind as to confer that that's truly on his short list, and if it is, I'd love to invite him to come to our school board meeting and discuss it with us.
And
Oh,
please remind them that every pair of pants has 2 pockets.
It's the same pair of pants.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're wearing the same pair of pants. And kind of remind him that we're well aware of the churches, the villa, and the ball fields that he's plowing.
Those ball fields?
Yeah, he keeps, I understand Lions Club, he keeps an emergency runway open in there, in case emergency equipment needs to get in there, as well as the villa ball fields, I believe. He just keeps an emergency.
I will have a conversation with Carl tomorrow.
Oh, that's right, you get to meet him in the morning.
Sorry, Stacy.
That's okay.
Alrighty, now we can jump to superintendent.
I
Sorry.
don't see any.
See
Oh, C&E, sorry. The next meeting is on.
forgive me.
Number 27.
I'm the red-headed stepchild.
you don't get to.
I have nothing against redheads.
No offense.
I would certainly hope not.
No, I have nothing to report. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 22nd of November.
Thank you.
I love that report.
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah.
Now it's Stacy.
Stacy, okay, just some quick things. I went to both the girls and boys soccer teams made it to the playoffs. Unfortunately, they didn't make it anywhere beyond. The boys did play, went into overtime and lost 2-1 at Bedford. It was a cold afternoon, so the football game
Yes.
too. The football game was a good game. Tomorrow we have a teacher workshop day for elections and voting. So just some of the things that are going on, Maple, Glen Lake, and Bartlett, as well as Mountain View 5th and 6th grade, will be doing some more training on reading streets with a focus on the technology aspect of reading streets and how to integrate it. One of the things that the program does is through the writing component, it integrates how to do an email. I mean, it really does bring it forward, but there's also a lot of online pieces. And so we have trainers coming into all the buildings to work with the staff on those pieces. The middle school is also doing some differentiated instruction for math. They're also science and social studies will be looking at NECAP and alignment with the GLEs, which are our grade level expectations. So making sure that we're meeting all the expectations in our curriculum of when we're supposed to be meeting them. And the World Language Department is actually going to meet and talk about aligning their curriculum and making sure it's aligned with the high school curriculum, so that if a student goes through 2 years of foreign language at the middle school, it is the equivalent of the high school class. One of the things we did last year was we purchased world language textbooks that are the same as the high school. So we just want to make sure now the content and the curriculum match up. So they'll be working on that. The high school is going to be working on our safety evacuation plan, as well as accountability. So when the police department comes and we have a fire drill, making sure we are aware of where every student is, which at the high school is probably one of the hardest things to do because it's pretty independent. Your kids are kind of in and out. If it's a lunch block, trying to identify is every child in the cafeteria that's supposed to be in the cafeteria is a hard thing to do. So they'll be talking about, I believe we had a drill, and so we have some feedback from the fire department. They'll be talking about that. They're also going to be doing some work on their mission statement as part of NEASNC. We have to reflect on that and look and see if there's any changes we need to make. And some work on the 3 keys to comprehension, which was a training we had started 2 years ago at the high school. It's about how to integrate comprehension skills into the content area. So when you're doing science and social studies, how to integrate comprehension. So they'll be following up with that. And just a last reminder, Monday, November 8th, this Monday coming up at 6 o'clock, we have an SAU board meeting in New Boston. I don't anticipate it to be lengthy, so 6 o'clock.
Does anybody know who's going to be attending for sure? Sue? You'll be attending?
Yep.
Lori? think you'll be on November 8th?
November 8th, I believe so.
And Diane, we already talked about it, you'll be there, Jimmy? Okay. So we got definite for Laurie, Sue, Jimmy, and Jen. You know, let Sue, Denise know about, that'd be great. And Diane, you were, oh, but you're not tentative, you said,
Okay. That's all I have.
oh, wow, that's very quick, thank you.
More important.
Why don't we jump around a little bit, because we'll save the budget for after we go through all the other items, if you don't mind, Sue. Why don't we jump right on to our second read policies for board approval. Policy EBBB, and these are second reads, indoor air quality. Policy ECA, audio video surveillance on school buses. Policy EEA, student transportation services. EEAG, use of private vehicles to transport students. Policy JH-JH-R, student absences and excuses. And policy JICK and JICK-R, pupil safety and violence prevention. Anybody have a motion that I can make regarding these second reads? Or any comments? Jen?
I have potentially a change in JH.
Student absences, okay?
JH or JHR?
JH.
Yeah, R means the regulation associated with it.
The change was flipping paragraph 4 for with paragraph 5. In committee, we had talked about changing the paragraphs, putting one before the other in JH. Lost my little
Makes sense.
post-it
Might
note.
need to be a little bit more fluent. Anybody have any problems with just switching the order of the two paragraphs?
Do you review these before they come, after MC makes the changes? Do you review them before they come back for second read?
I reviewed them at first read. I didn't review them again at second read.
Okay. Well, actually, JH is, it's a first read, JH, isn't it?
No, I believe it's second read.
Okay.
I know that we had talked about flipping them, and then we had changed the wording of something else instead so that we didn't have to flip them, but I have no problem still flipping them.
Why do you want it flipped? Why do you want to flip the two?
We felt it made better sense.
Just
Flowed better?
A little better?
Yeah, a little
I can
bit.
see where you'd say that.
That's what I thought we had discussed in committee.
Well, we were talking about them both ways because of the definition of truant and how there seemed to be dual definitions that we fixed. So I know that we had talked about flipping them before we changed the definition, and then we thought about leaving it. But really, either way is fine. If you want to flip it, I have no problem with that.
I'll let it stand.
Anything else?
I have one amendment that I'd like to add to ECAF. This was this is the audio and video surveillance, and this was as a follow-up to my meeting with the bus company. And they asked for this, and I agreed. So I would like to propose adding under recordings may be reviewed only by the following persons, and then putting a sentence in under that. There may be times when the transportation provider's maintenance department will need to view videotapes to ensure proper placement of video recordings. This will be done under the direct supervision of the transportation contractor official. So there may be times, because they're on the bus, and so there may be times where they need to look at the video to make sure it's aimed at the right place we want it to be aimed at. And they were concerned with the policy that it doesn't allow that. The maintenance person who's gonna put the camera where it needs to go, will be able to look at it.
So they'll just look at the video, they
They'll
don't?
look at the video, just a snapshot
Not
of
the
whatever,
audio.
so to make sure it's focused in the
Should
right
we
direction.
Probably say that in the policy, that they can look at the video, but they don't have to hear the audio.
Specify.
Well, they have to
video.
listen, they probably want to listen just to make sure the audio is working, that's all.
I have to view videotape I don't have audio on there,
Right.
just to view the videotape, because it's really, their concern was that if we left it with just a contract official, that the maintenance person who installs the cameras and refocuses them, so if something gets bumped and it's now
Are they
taping
even
the
Right, but I think
windows.
Keith makes a
we
good
can-
point.
Yeah, I mean,
How can you
I
check
think
to
we
see
need
if the
to.
audio's working if you don't?
If you don't have the
Well,
audio.
do you
Well-
have to be recording at that time? Do you have to be on the bus with the kids in order to check for the
No, no, it'll be
direction and the
afterwards.
audio
No,
that is
he's-
working?
Yeah, do the
Because-
students need to be on the
Because then
bus?
at that point, would it even fall under our policy if they're doing regular maintenance without students involved?
Good
We
point.
could do it that way. I think they were just looking for ease of, if we're
Well,
just.
if it clearly
the-
says that, you know, it's gonna be viewed only under
In
certain
certain
circumstances,
I think
perhaps
they-
we should just add "and maintenance of equipment" to the circumstances. I don't know.
Because I think they may have to make sure that the audio is working properly at times too. And that's probably a little more difficult to do when the bus is empty, because you kind of want to have it when the kids are actually on there and they're making noise to see if you can audibly hear what the kids are saying, so.
Based on your meeting, do you feel that they would have asked for audio if they felt they needed audio? Do you think it's likely it's an oversight, because they're just asking for video?
Yeah, I think it was a general conversation we had about, well, what happens when a video gets on the line, and I'm like, oh, let me add something in here to reflect that maintenance can view it just so that we can fix the problem.
I just would like to give them permission to check the audio as well, for the same reasons.
Yeah, 'cause the maintenance people aren't gonna know the children. How can they know who they're watching, who they're seeing?
And they would
Still
have to do it
worry about
under,
privacy, though.
I mean, they would still
Okay,
do it under
okay.
the supervision of the contractor, they wouldn't just be able to go in and say, I wanna look at them now.
Right, they
And
don't
it would
have
only
to-
be if
Watch
there
the
was,
kids on the
and if there were,
bus.
yeah, and it would only be if
If
there was
they
a
are.
really an
Like
issue, I mean, and then it would just be, they're
It'd
really
be more
looking to see
boring
where the
like
camera's
TV.
focused and if it's working, not, they
And
wouldn't
that's
be
bad.
looking at the content,
Like
or,
Real Housewives and the kids is taking on.
so that was just a recommendation.
So can we amend that sentence, come up with the exact wording of that sentence for,
I just changed it to, there may be times when the transportation provider's maintenance department will need to view video or audio tape to ensure proper placement of video or audio recording. This will be done under the direct supervision of the transportation contractor official.
anybody have anything you want to add to that?
Does that mean that we can't approve that one tonight then, right?
Correct.
'Cause we already changed
Right,
it.
that has to go to a first read.
Okay.
So that means it'll come
It
back,
can come back as a second read.
it'll come back as a second read on the first meeting in December.
Got it.
All right, so would anybody like to make a motion to approve the other ones that we did not amend?
Which were all the other ones.
Jen?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
And we're looking to approve let me go back to the main page here and I'll, pull 'em up. We're looking to approve BBD, ECAF,
Not
Not
ECAF.
ECAF.
yeah, I'm sorry, not ECAF, EBBD, EEA, EEAG, JH-JH-R, JICK/JICK-R. All in favor of the motion? And that passes unanimously, thank you. And we'll talk about the default budget when we go to our budget shortly. Bond refunding and update, was there anything additional you wanted to share on the bond refunding, Ray, that Sue didn't have the opportunity to share?
You had asked the question, Keith, as to what the interest rates were on the new issue. They are variable, they range from 2% to 5% in the last year. The bonds that are refunded, the issue that's out there now, range from 4.75% to 5%, so that's where we're getting our savings. We did get an estimate of all of the service charges that'll be passed on by the different groups that worked on this bond, such as Divine Millimet for bond counsel fees, First Southwest Financial for their representation, agency representation for the school district. The total of those fees is $49,300, all of which are paid out of the savings that we've had for the bond.
Are those paid on the front end, or do they become part of the bond?
We have a wire transfer that is due in tomorrow, and we will be paying invoices directly when they're presented to us.
And the total savings was 580,000?
Yes.
It's net,
Minus-
after we pay all the fees.
Yeah.
It's 580 net
Yeah.
after we pay the
Yes.
49? Okay,
Yes.
great.
Excellent. All righty. Music Department Educational Tour request.
This is a request from the high school music department, as well as Tim Westfall, who's a teacher here, looking for approval to go to, on a school sponsored.
I thought it was non-school
Yeah, it is, it says
sponsored.
non-schools, but it is a school sponsored.
All right, it's gonna be
I have tried to
school-sponsored.
clarify. There were some places where it said non-school, school. I talked to them, it is a school sponsored trip. It has always been a school sponsored trip. It's the music department. They're looking to go to Europe the summer of 2012. They currently have 43 students signed up and 10 parents enrolled. It's gonna be between $2,500 and $3,000 to go. They do tons of fundraisers between now and then, so there's lots of opportunities for kids to, they said actually kids oftentimes can go for free if they do it a fundraising. And so they're just looking for our approval to advertise and have it as a trip. I believe they're actually hooking up with Salem this year, with Mary Singer is going to be working with them as well, who has done the trips before.
Isn't this a repeat trip?
Yes.
It is a repeat trip.
Do we have to make a motion, or?
I guess the only reason why I would is because it's out of the country.
Yeah, so
You
probably
know,
so
it's a little
moved.
bit more, you know.
Philip, you
more-
make a motion to approve it?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other questions? Jen? Oh, okay, sorry. All righty. All in
Jump the
favor?
gun.
Wait, I have a question.
question.
When is the trip?
It's
That's
next summer.
During
In
the
the summer
summer?
of
Yeah, it's during the
2012.
summertime.
And they've done a great job of sending us some email pictures and everything, like
Oh,
when they
you
get
know what, I
back,
do
so.
have, sorry. Hold on, they need to give me handouts. This was their trip to Austria last year,
Yeah.
so.
We actually received this when they came back as well, we received this email.
Wow,
So they,
okay.
So
actually,
it-
I think we received some updates as they were out there, I think.
And just kind of talk about all the educational stuff, and it's the chorus, the orchestra, the music department, so they go sing in some of the high schools, they do several different concerts. Did you go to Austria?
No.
No. Gonna go on this trip? No.
Maybe go.
You'll be out of here.
They went over to Beethoven's home.
Mad Ludwig's, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
They did.
Yeah, they did several different things.
Okay, all in favor, did we vote on it? No, we didn't yet. All in favor of the motion? That passes unanimously again, thank you. GHS Student Council trip request.
Oh, I didn't realize it was more than I'm sorry.
Yep, I have a request from Erin McKinnon and Corinne Dion, who are the co-advisors for student council. They'd like to, permission, this is a repeat overnight field trip, to Waterville Valley on November 11th and 12th. They're taking 13 students. This is for the, student council kind of, leadership trip. They have, we have two students who are on the executive board for the state student council, so they'll be representing us as well. So-
Okay, any motions on this, please?
This is a continuing trip.
Oh, so we don't actually
Yep,
make
you
a
don't have
motion,
to
right?
make a motion unless it's.
Anybody wish to make a motion? Excellent, we're moving on. Next field trip request.
I have, a request from Art Farrier for 2 model Congress trips, one to Yale. They have 13 students going. They're looking to go December 2nd, returning Sunday, December 5th. They're actually in order to keep costs down, they're gonna share a bus with Framingham High School. So they have 2 trips, one to Yale Model Congress at Yale, obviously, in Connecticut, and the other is University of Pennsylvania Model Congress. This was the one, if you remember last year, they went to that was canceled and nightmarish because it was winter time. They have now changed it to the end of March, so we're hoping the weather's a little better. Yeah, they don't have a final roster on that, but that's gonna be March 31st, coming back on Sunday, April 3rd, so.
Actually, these are repeat trips as well.
Those are both repeat trips, so unless there's a motion on the floor.
Any motions? All right, moving on. Request for a new one-on-one paraeducator.
Yep, this is a request, we need to hire a one-to-one paraeducator for a student who has moved into our district. It's actually a new Boston student. And so New Boston will be reimbursing us, but because it's a new position in our budget, that will be reimbursed by New Boston. I'm just seeking board's permission to hire that person. As New Boston is aware and is fine with it, yeah.
Okay. So moved. Seconded by Sue. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? That passes unanimously, thank you. I think we can jump now to, do you have any co-curricular nominations or?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we jump right to nominations before we go into the budget?
Just have a few co-curricular, one resignation, and several co-curricular. I'm bringing forward one resignation. He hasn't actually started, but since you did nominate him, I think at the last meeting, Andrew Gora, who's resigned from girls' basketball, JV. And then we have multiple co-curricular nominations, as you can see. I can tell you most of them are returning. Susan Dodge, Caleb Pouliot, Ed Collum, and Deanna Goodwin are new this year. The rest are all repeats. We've done them before.
Susan Dodge has done something before in our school
Ed's
district.
been an assistant coach, though.
Oh,
Or
okay.
like a
Yeah.
helper
Yeah.
coach.
Okay, do you want to make a motion to accept the resignation of Andrew, what's his name?
Gora.
Gora, thank you. By Philip, seconded by, Lori got that one? All in favor? That passes unanimously. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the co-curricular nominations as presented by Stacy? By Diane? Do I have a second, please? By Jen? Any questions? All in favor of the motion? And that passes unanimously, thank you. All right.
Can I have a question before we do budget?
Sure.
Is the warrant that's in here just for informational purposes, or
The warrant
the
articles?
warrant articles for next month?
We're just gonna start really talking about.
Oh, okay, well, I don't see it on the,
Oh, yes.
is it?
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, they're
Okay.
B, under new business.
Oh, well, that's because
And actually, I have
skipped
a
over
corrected
it, that's why I don't see it.
All
I
right.
have some other business.
Sure.
Is now an appropriate time, or do you want
We
to
can
wait
do
for
it
the
now.
hours?
We can do it now.
Um,
We can focus on the budget after.
okay, it's about the, sixth grade science textbooks at Mountain View. I've been approached by now several other people. I've received 2 emails. Parents are very upset about the sense that they don't have enough textbooks. So something's not connecting. I have a long email, very thought out. I think she has a great point. Parents are asking where they're paying so much in taxes, how is it that their children cannot get textbooks to complete their homework? For science, I mean, I've got this, I know others have voiced their thoughts as well, but I'm really disappointed and upset about the lack of textbooks from a 6th grader. He's struggling a bit this year because there are not enough books for all the students, so he is unable to bring a book home at night to aid in his work and studies. I believe this is something the school board should address. We need to give all our children the tools they need for the best possible education. Even if it were not affecting my son personally, I would still think it's an outrage that we cannot supply the students with enough books. Thank you for listening.
Have they contacted the teacher and Jim? I know
They
Jim had a
have,
couple of
one
people
of
that he
these
spoke
emails
with.
was CC'd the administration.
And I think Jim has corresponded with one of the parents.
Yes, which I have a copy here, and following that, that contact from Mr. Hunt. Yes, Mr. Hunt did say that he can understand why having a book at home may be beneficial, quote unquote, at times. I still think it is ludicrous that the kids don't have a book available to them at home all the time. I believe for me the solution will be that I'm going to request that my son has a science book at home at the minimum of once per week, preferably on Thursday night, so that he can study for his weekly Friday tests. But what about all the other students who won't have that same option because there aren't enough books for all of them? I still think it should be the norm and not the exception that a student has a book at home to study from at least the night before a test. It continues to baffle me, and I hope the school board will consider correcting this ASAP. Yeah, sixth grade science, and I will say it is all one class, it seems, as I understand. I'm not saying I don't know when we had the parent come last year and discuss the same issue. I'm not sure if it is the same teacher or not. I think it's something we need to look into. There seems to be a disconnect, because like when I asked the question last week, you know, Mr. Hunt and the staff, they did definitely feel like there was a solution. You know, they definitely did not express that there was an issue, but based on that, the parents definitely that are experiencing this definitely seem to think it's an issue.
Let me have a follow-up conversation with them. I know that, I mean, the conversation around the textbooks in science is that they're supplemental books. They're not used, read this chapter, read this chapter, read this chapter, so we don't have a book for every student. Now, my understanding is there's plenty of books that if a student wanted to take one home, now there may be teachers who aren't letting that happen, and I would need to investigate that piece of it.
The bulk of these complaints seem to be is that there's a science packet handed out on Monday, and the students are expected to find the answers in the book and bring them home to study. That's all fine and good, except when the answers that are in the packet are not correct. I brought that up at the Parents Open House. We were all told that if our student completed the packet early in the week using the books at school, that it would be reviewed and they'd have time to correct what's wrong. However, this is not held true. The class corrects it together on Friday, the same day as the test. So something's not happening.
Okay, let me follow up, because I'm not so
something's
sure it needs to go to the board yet at this point.
Why don't we just direct the administration to investigate and report back if necessary?
Because it does seem that the least we can do,
Even
if
if
children are
not
needing
necessary.
support materials, this doesn't seem to be an isolated issue. And like I said, it could all be one class, but emotions are running high on this subject.
Diane, can I get a copy of those emails so I
Sure.
know at least who the parents are and can at least identify if they're the same parents as Mr. Hunt's already spoken, you know, just so I
Yeah.
can see if we've dealt with some of them or not.
Yeah, he CC'd me on my response, so I know you
Okay.
have one, but absolutely.
Now, the budget.
Now we can go to the budget. All right. And Ray provided us with a handout, which is a summary, which includes the recommended revisions that we
Yeah,
did
but
in
hold
our.
on, can I start before you go there, because I have some information. Sue had asked about information on the secretary.
Right.
Oh,
So I have
sure.
that information for the board. So you can see the comparison between the two part-time and a full-time.
Right.
So the section on, so there's kind of two sections if you look at this. The top section is the cost for the two secretaries. So two part-time, 2 5-hour-a-week secretaries. Total cost, including benefits, is $50,048. If we go to one full-time secretary, which is what is in the budget, it's $39,328.
This is a 40-hour position?
Yes. So it's it's around an $11,000 savings by actually making it one position. So if we were to keep it at two positions, we would actually need to add $11,000 to the bottom line of the budget.
And she's okay with losing 10 hours a week?
What she's at, the one person would
No, I
actually be
mean
gaining.
Suzanne.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think she would prefer, she thinks she can, one secretary will be far outweigh those 2 hours where they overlap, because they overlap and all they do is figure out what happened in the morning and what needs to happen in the afternoon. So.
Okay.
All right, so let's jump right in, because on the old sheet that Ray handed out, we actually do the summary of our budget and the default budget. So let's go page one, which is, this is actually with all our revisions from our work sessions.
That's
Correct.
correct.
So that includes everything that you made adjustments, increases or decreases to. So as you can see, we've broken it down as the board asked by each school. Your general fund, what your current budget is in that first column, what the proposed budget is in the second column, what the dollar change is, and then what the percentage change for that is for each building, and then subtotal. And then the next column, you asked about salary and benefits, so the first column then is salary and benefits for the current year, salary and benefits proposed for next year, what the dollar change is and what the percentage change is. So we have that for the general fund, and then you can see for the food service, and then the grants we put in here as well, so that you can see the total bottom line of what you would be voting on if you approve the budget as it was adjusted.
Question.
Go right ahead.
How much of the change in, from current budget to proposed budget was based on reorganization that got, like the district is negative, AKA it's lower? And I know there was some putting things in the right columns as opposed to what we had before. I was wondering, was there any major shifts that caused some of the movement, or was it all just minor shifts?
Let me ask the question a different way, to make sure I've got the right question. So when we changed things from maybe one category to another, did that make a major change in one area?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
in like a particular school, because I know
Yeah.
like we did some schools to district or district
There
to
was,
schools.
this year we didn't have very many that way. We had done a lot of that last year, where
Okay.
we went from school, district to, that we filtered things back out. Like we had the rental for the alt-ed program in the district, we moved to the high school. We did a lot of that last year. There was very little movement from district to schools. There was some movement within schools and replacement. but
Yeah, or how
yeah.
about, was there any schools back to district?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
No.
Did anybody have any additional lines they wanted to give consideration to that we've since reviewed and had questions on since
No,
our
I'm just,
work sessions?
I know that our increases in payroll and benefits is $3.5 million approximately from this year to next. That was in their presentations.
Yeah, total is 1.9
And then
1,946.
Yeah, that's salary and
That's salary and
benefits.
benefits, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But our budget was up only, excuse me, $1.5 million.
Mhm.
So we absorbed $2 million of that increase by cutting everything we possibly could.
We absorbed,
$2 million.
no,
No, you absorbed $500,000.
$500,000. It was a $2 million increase in salary and benefits, yet our budget only
No,
went up
there was more
1.5.
than that.
No, it's 1.9 million.
1.9 and 1.5.
No. Where's 1.5?
1.5 is what our budget is up.
Right, the budget's going up almost $2 million in salary increases and in benefit increases, $2 million increase almost. But
I
our
thought
total
it was
budget's only up
1.9.
1.5
1.9 for bennies and,
salaries, yeah.
Yeah.
and salaries?
Yes, 1.9, yes.
Okay,
That's salary and benefits together.
okay.
So yes, we've taken $500,000 out of other lines in
Cover
order to
that.
cover that, yes.
That isn't reflected anywhere.
Yeah, right here,
Yes,
Is
it
it?
is.
here
Oh.
and here.
Okay.
And the place that's probably easiest to point that out for anybody else who reads this is if you look at the percentage change in the top section on the back page. You see that the change in benefits is increased by 7.93%. The change in the general fund budget is 4.53%. Obviously, you're talking about two different amounts of money. The real dollar difference is about $400,000.
Separately, from the slides, that leaves Lacey's slides. I might be keeping these.
And you asked about lines that we may want to revisit
Yes.
in light of this last conversation regarding textbook availability. How do we handle that as far as the
Well,
budget goes?
I think at this point, I don't think the administration had a chance to even look into it. And this is not our final budget. Our final number has to be decided by deliberative session. I think there's obviously going to be discussions with the budget committee over this number. I'd like to give Stacy a chance to check with administration over the next couple of weeks, see if there's any feedback that needs to be reflected in our budget. What we are trying to present is we need to come up with a number to present to the budget committee, because we do want to give it to them by now. We're going to try Thursday evening rather than Friday.
Okay, just because we have parents who have taken the ASB number of the science textbook and are looking fine on themselves. That's how, that's.
And I'll be honest, I would have them call me or call Jim, because there's no reason for that. I'm sure there are science textbooks in that building that can be available.
Just that teacher doesn't have, maybe there's someplace else.
I think something might be
Or
disconnecting.
The
and I
teacher isn't
think
sending them home.
Also, part of the issue is the extenuating circumstances. Maybe the children aren't advocating for themselves. Maybe the children are reluctant to advocate for themselves for fear that they are labeled or otherwise singled out.
That they
And
would take
as
them
having
home.
an issue.
Yeah, so.
I'd like to see those parents talk to Stacy or Jim, absolutely. All right. Any other lines that anybody wanted to give consideration? I'm not trying to snuff you.
No, I don't feel
I'm just
snuffed.
saying,
I
just
mean,
think
it's true. I mean,
premature to
you
look at
have
that
I just
number.
need to figure it out. 'Cause
Right, you have
it's
to
just-
allow
there is a
steps.
disconnect somewhere that
Absolutely.
I'm guessing there's books available.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, you have to allow all steps of the, you know,
And these numbers may
remediation.
reflect for the workbooks for next year
Mhm.
already in the budget too, so I think she needs to check with Jim and make sure and everything.
For whatever it's worth, just so this does get said, because we've heard it for a long time, textbooks more and more are being used as resource materials as opposed to the primary base for many of the classes. As a resource, that doesn't mean they have any less value to the students who need a place to go. But I suspect that when the entire story is told, and you ladies can probably speak to this much better than I can, that there are a whole list of resources that students have, sort of kindergarten and 12th grade. The question is, what does the individual student need, and how do we meet that need? And that's really a dialogue for teacher, parent-teacher, student, and then if we need to figure out what other resources we need, then we do so within the building.
I mean, if we need science
Right.
textbooks, we'll
Yeah.
buy science textbooks.
But the reaction is based on, you know, last week's, you know, question and the response that there's no problem. And kind of saying there is a problem. You know, that's where that is coming, that's the.
But yeah,
The
again, I'm
development
not,
of
I'm
that
not
issue.
questioning the existence of a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting it in the right context and figuring out what the solution looks
Right.
like.
Absolutely, we just need to solve it.
Right.
Absolutely. So no, I just wasn't sure based on that, and then when Keith was asking about increasing, I don't know.
Increasing or decreasing?
So if you look, Ray also added on the bottom here, there's a chart just showing you kind of the last several years of our budget, and what our salary and benefit increases have been compared to the budget increases, so you get just a historical perspective.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a good idea, Rudy.
Oh, you can thank Philip for that.
You know what
That's a good idea.
Are we gonna be, showing separate lines? I guess this is what we asked for as far as having the salary and benefits specifically
Yep.
presented, and then, okay.
Keith, would it be valuable in any of this instance in the box at the bottom where we've got what our total budget's been for the past so many years, to have the.
6 years.
Yeah, to have the, I'm sorry, I've got a headache. Would it be valuable also to have for those past 6 years the amount of money that we've returned to the town?
You know, it's interesting, we've had that conversation for a while, for at least 3 years that I know of. And most of the money that has gone back to the town are unanticipated revenues.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here's the difficulty. I think that the vision of what that money is different than what it is.
Yeah.
Because I think the perception has been, oh, well, they asked for too much. It's easy to give back money when you've asked for too much. So
That's kind of what my question is that valuable to add, or
I
is it
don't,
detrimental?
that's a
you
good
know?
question. I think
Because of
that the budget that we're gonna present is one that is aggressive, really aggressive, and hopefully allows us not to slide backwards. If you look at the numbers, it's hard not to conclude that that can be happening.
It's also important, I mean, this was just a budget sheet we did for a summary, so you had everything
Right.
here. Ray and I have multiple pages of all kinds of different data, sliced and diced every way you could come up with it.
She's using those Ginsu knives we bought her.
Yeah, you know, we tried to make it clear, our goal here was to give you what the bottom line was, so you had all the information to make a decision.
Sue?
Yeah, I think Ginny makes a good point. Maybe not necessarily what was turned back, but what percentage of our budget was not spent.
That's probably a more appropriate thing to look at.
No, this past, we gave back, what, 3.2 million, but 1.2 was the budget that we didn't spend
Yes.
last year. So, I mean,
That's a
unanticipated
double-edged
revenue
sword,
is
though.
just that, we never know what we're gonna get.
That is a double-edged sword.
That is a double-edged sword.
Well, people also have to understand, if there's no unreserved fund balance, they're gonna get a heavy tax hit the following season.
And by continuing to
Yes.
cut it, that's what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
And I think people have to know too.
I just
that-
think we have to show that we have a history of not overspending. That in fact, every year we underspend the budget requests that we make.
I think we have an educationally sound proposal that recognizes what we seek to accomplish as a district and is mindful of the fact that there are voices who have expressed concern over the tax rate. But at the end of the day, we've produced a budget that does what the district needs it to do. I think the numbers speak for themselves.
You don't hang around with the same people.
Well, no, but that's a matter of interpretation as opposed to a matter of.
Lori?
The 7.93% increase doesn't count, for salaries and benefits, doesn't count GESS, because that would be separate if there's anything
Right.
becoming a
Correct.
warrant article?
Well, that includes their benefit increase.
It
No.
includes a GMR increase.
Right, the GES
Oh, right,
benefit
right.
No
increase.
changes in benefits, it doesn't include any, other than if a person changed positions from last year to this year, that would be reflected, but there's no salary increase for
Okay.
those
But
employees.
it reflects
That would
the,
be
it
on-
reflects the
So
GMR
really-
increase on insurance, though.
Yeah.
So really, our salary is jumping higher than, salary and benefits together is jumping higher than 8% this year?
I think at
Depending
this
on what the
time,
negotiations go.
yeah, I'd say at this time, that would not be a fair assessment to say.
Okay.
It depends, yeah,
If
it's
there's a
whatever's
contract.
negotiated in the contract, so if there was a salary
I
raise,
mean,
that
if
would
you
be
wanna go
more
back up to
honorable.
non-public at the end of the meeting, we can discuss the negotiations where it is right now, but I
Ultimately-
can't share that publicly.
But I don't even
Ultimately,
think
the
you have
voters will
anywhere to
get to
go with
make a
that.
decision
But
on
yeah, that's
whatever
what I'm
that
saying,
is.
there, it doesn't
It
include
won't be
this, it's
reflected there,
separate.
it'll be reflected elsewhere,
warrant
and it would
warrant
be
article.
costed out on the warrant article.
And the point is too that the voters voted on this number. I mean, this is not news to anybody that, you know, that these raises are
Yeah.
Right.
coming in, it's been voted on, it's been considered, this is not anything
been
that we
recommended.
can change, you know, and everybody's seen it once before,
So
so.
the numbers were costed out on the warrant article
Yeah.
that presented the contracts as required.
Any other questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt a total operating budget of $37,481,820, which reflects the revisions we made during our
Work session.
work sessions, and to present this budget to the budget committee this week.
So moved. Oh, go ahead.
Philip,
Go ahead.
seconded by
No,
Sue.
No.
Any additional questions? All in favor of the motion? And that passes unanimously, 7-0-0. We will present this to the budget committee on the 13th of November, 9:30 a.m., down in the Mildred Stock Room at Goffstown Town Hall. And my understanding is we are going to try to do it live as well. but any of you would like to attend, you're welcome to. Myself, Stacy, Ray, I think it's the only ones who will be in attendance, right? For sure, but you guys are welcome to come, believe me.
I would encourage you to come.
I would encourage you.
8:30 or 9:30?
9:30.
Oh, did we change the time?
No, it's
The last
9:30.
meeting, budget committee meeting, they were talking about a 9 o'clock start.
Oh, well, they should tell the people who are invited.
Uh,
I have 8:30.
Well,
I haven't heard
actually,
anything.
I believe we're actually setting the meeting.
Yes,
It's our
it is.
presentation, so.
They
we're
had
actually
us at
setting-
8:30.
That's awful early.
And then I had 9.
I thought our first.
9 o'clock.
All right, I know our first notes to them, we asked for 9:30, so why don't we cut the middle and do 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
And really, that's gonna be mostly Stacy's day. I plan to do just a quick intro on behalf of the board, and Stacy's gonna be doing most of the presenting. So it's gonna be Stacy's long day. She's the one that's gonna have to bring cough shots to keep her voice
Nice to
going
be
through the
there
day.
for support.
We'll make it.
Alrighty,
Okay.
so let's jump to the next item on our, yeah.
Pretty much that.
Okay, why don't we jump right into the fall budget?
Okay,
Oh.
so this may be a tad bit of a surprise to people
Hmm.
when you look at the default budget, because it took Ray and I both as a little bit of a shock. Because
You
with,
figured it out for me.
it's one of those, kind of oddball situations. The more you cut out of your budget,
Unless you're
the
the
more
fault.
you have less to defend the default. So if you recall, the default is last year's budget, plus or minus any one-time increases, one-time situations, as well as what you decrease. So things like when we cut $500,000 out of the special education lines, that gets decreased from last year's budget. So you can see the worksheet here. If you look up at the very top where it says Article number 2, operating budget, you'll see last year's number. The 31,161, special revenues are grants, food service fund, for a total budget of 35,627. We had a $215,000 warrant article, which that next line adds all those numbers together. Then you bring down your adjustments to your contracts and obligations. So you can see things like special education had a decrease of $668,000. If you recall, things like last year, we gave back probably close to $1 million in that special ed line for out-of-district tuition, so we've really skinnied that line up.
We brought some students back in
Brought some
district.
students back in district through programming, and so we reduced that line. But every time you reduce things, it affects that bottom line. If you look at so those are all the adjustments that we've made. If you look at the very bottom on the right, the default budget is $34,615,451. We're projecting special revenues of $670, food service of $1.1 million, for a total budget $36,387, $247. If you look, we have our proposed current budget numbers in there next, the percentage increase, and the percentage from the default budget, which on the bottom line shows the default is $1,094,573 less than what our current proposed budget is.
$1.1 million less than our proposed budget.
So it's kind of counterintuitive of the more you cut out of your budget, the more that spread goes.
So we have $2 million in increases in salary and benefits. Our budget's only going up $1.5 million, and if we get a default budget, we have to figure out how to find another $1.1 million. And since we cut most of our discretionary lines, I would think a majority of that would unfortunately come out of staffing.
Or activities.
Or activities.
Or, who
And/or,
knows?
yeah, it could be a combination.
It would have to be, because activities I don't think would even come close to $1 million.
No,
It
no.
would not.
But when you have to choose between an activity
Oh,
and a
absolutely.
teacher,
You may have to rebring up that pay for play.
you may have to do more than that.
Depends where the number comes in at the end, what voters decide to provide us with. Anybody have any questions on this? All right, why don't we
So,
jump?
Eventually, you'll need to approve the default budget, but
Yeah, we're
you
gonna
can
have to
do
do
that
that
at the
too.
next meeting if you want to take time to look at it.
Yeah. The warrant articles,
I actually have a revised copy for you.
I was gonna say, I found
Because there was there were a couple numbers in there still, it didn't quite get deleted out.
But you still have us meeting at 7 PM on Saturday, which is not correct.
Ah.
We're not gonna meet at 7
Saturday,
PM.
meeting at 10.
10 AM.
That's why 12 of us look at them. So, you have
Well,
your
we'll make it
basic
21
information
now.
at the front. You'll have 3 board members up for renewal this year. Article 2 is your regular budget article with your default in it. Article 3 will be your bargaining agreement, and so you'll have your year, depending on how many years and, et cetera, that will be in there. Article 4, can stay in or can come out, that's an option, that if that warrant article, Article 3 does not pass, you have the ability to have a special district meeting to address just that one warrant article for the cost
And we
purposes
don't have to
only.
approve warrant articles tonight, so.
Yep.
This is something for
It's just
people
a-
to start thinking about.
It's just a recommended article so that if the if the DESS contract doesn't pass, you have an ability to go back to the public with another opportunity versus not having a contract and having to wait another year. And Article 5 would be just to put money into the Bartlett Elementary School Facilities Capital Reserve Fund if you so wish again to do that this year. Those were the only articles that we've talked about. I don't know if there's other ones that people want to see.
Just out of curiosity, as a matter of law, are there any issues with removing particular items from our budget and making them warrant articles if we so chose?
We can do that.
You can do that,
Okay.
if there's specific items that you want the
But
public
that's
to
not,
vote on.
that's something
But-
we even have to discuss
but-
and
but-
take action on tonight.
But the caveat on doing that is the following year, if it's not
Right.
approved, it does not become part of your default budget. You're
Right.
opening yourself up to that exposure.
Exactly.
So you'd want to really think about what those items were.
Yeah, well, I'm just,
Yep.
my question is a very, very broad question.
Another question, Article 5, I know, you know, the existing Bartlett Elementary School facilities, where we're looking at renovation projects for both schools, are we wise to try to bring that into one account?
Yeah,
try.
we tried to do that last year and
I
it was
remember,
voted down.
but
We
is
can put
it-
that back on the ballot,
Yeah.
I
that's
don't
fine.
remember by what margin it was voted down.
It was significant.
Yeah,
Um,
but a lot of people didn't
They didn't
understand
understand
it.
it. We didn't spend a
Yeah.
lot of
We were
energy
trying
trying
to
to
do
sell
it.
that during
Yeah.
the year. We
And
took
that's one of
energy
those,
elsewhere.
the only reason it's good is so that we can work on both projects with that same pool of money.
Mhm.
For accounting purposes, it would have been easier. It's not really a problem to focus it on one. I mean, if there's other things we need to focus on, I'd rather you focus on those other things like the budget versus that.
Just
We
seems
can
we're
manage.
Well-
looking at at those projects, it kind of
yeah.
seems like,
I think the capital reserve fund is a good idea.
mm,
I think it's a better idea if both ends of the community are working to one goal,
Mm.
mhm,
rather than just Bartlett or just Maple Ave.
I agree.
So I would like to at least
Try to
see
put
us
that
try
warrant back
and
on.
marry those things together again.
Do you want, we can put that
Why
warrant
don't we
article
draft
back
that
on
as a
for.
potential
And
warrant
they need to do
article?
a better job of explaining what it does, because I know people who voted against it because
Yeah, they
they
didn't
thought it was
understand
gonna take money away.
Right.
So,
And in fact, I heard the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
That, well, the only reason you can be doing this is so that you can take resources away from here.
Mm.
yeah, and put them
Yeah,
over
that's
here,
what I was
exactly.
saying.
Which is
thing.
not, was never the
No,
intent, was never
never.
the plan.
Right.
Just to comment on capital reserves as they stand, that was one of the selling points in obtaining a favorable interest rating
Mhm.
from Moody's Services for the Goffstown district, was indeed the fact that we do have capital reserves and we do make attempts to contribute to them each year. They
Okay.
found that as a strong plus.
Good.
Terrific. Good to know, thank you.
Excellent.
Great, we can bring that back in and bring it to the next board meeting.
Any other questions or comments on the?
I have a question on Article 4. You're suggesting that this article, that the one item that would be on the agenda for the special meeting would be the support staff contract?
Correct.
That's what I was asking
Can't
for, yes.
do the budget?
If you read
I
the
haven't-
budget, read the budget in entirety, it's in the budget article two.
No, it's not. That's
No,
a
it's not.
different- That's, that budget, so the, for
You have to revise
clarification,
operating budget only. More-
Article 2 is only if you do not get any budget.
Oh,
I
okay.
have not gotten clarification on your question yet. I
Oh,
don't have the
okay.
answer to that yet. I'm trying to get free legal advice tonight.
Yeah, but he had time to tell you a story.
Wait on.
Okay. All right, seeing none, does anybody have any other legal business to bring in front of the board? I think we've hit all our agenda items.
I have a non-public.
All
We have a
right.
non-public.
We're gonna, okay. Pursuant to RSA 92 of the, can you give it to me then?
Oh, and we have to sign the
91A,
hoozy dickies there.
For the dismissal promotion
Oh, I don't
compensation.
want.
Why don't we do that right now?
Okay.
not sell
Did you guys,
those
I'm sorry, did you guys just hear about going to non-public to reason? Why don't we repeat it, because I don't think they caught it on the camera.
91A 32A for the dismissal, promotion, compensation, or disciplining of any public employee, unless that employee has a right to an open meeting and requests the meeting to be open. It is not. It's compensation for an employee.
So can I actually have a motion going to non-public by Ray, Phil, seconded by Ginny? Roll call. Yes, and we're officially in non-public.